Hi, I'm Holly Lauber. I'm truly passionate about helping students and teachers at the elementary level incorporate technology into their classrooms for a blended learning experience. I want teachers and students to become more comfortable using technology as a tool for learning and communicating with each other, and to have that learning connected with other content areas. I think that it's important for students to have personalized learning in this experience, which can take form in differentiation in what they are learning, how they're learning it, and how they show their learning. I believe that students have the right to have an authentic and relative learning experience that relate to the things they see in their lives around them today. Learning should be hands-on, connected with problem solving and creative as well as critical thinking skills. This can include having collaborative, problem-based learning experiences that students see in their world every day. I believe that as educators, we need to allow students to experience failure, to celebrate that failure, and to learn from it. When I think about identifying emerging issues related to digital learning, the first thing that comes to my mind is how educators are using these technologies in their classroom. Is it to engage students? Is it to practice skills they're learning? I think that's the first thing teachers really need to think about. In my experience, from what I've seen in classrooms, heard about other classrooms, the majority of teachers are using applications to have children practice skills that they're learning and not really to engage students in their own learning. They don't use technology to give their students a voice and a choice and how they want to learn and what they want to learn and to show how they're learning it. They just download applications that will help practice the skills the teacher has been doing. And though this is nice in the short term, it touches on like, oh, I need this right now. I can download this and have my student work on it. It causes problems in the long terms. Teachers don't really think about how it affects a student's digital footprint to download apps, a majority of apps that are free. Um, and I think that's a big issue. As educators, we really need to be thinking about the choices and applications we are downloading in our classroom and why we are downloading them. I recently read an article from the National Association for the Education of Young Children. The authors Chip Donahue and Roberta Schoenberg closely worked with the Fred Rogers Center while doing their research. It is said that early in his career, Fred Rogers listed 6 necessities for children to learn. As the center moves forward, they are taking those necessities and applying them to the technology use with young children. So, they ask these questions. Does it create a sense of worth? Does it create a sense of trust? Does it spark curiosity? Does it have the capacity to foster you to look and listen carefully? Does it encourage the capacity to play? And does it allow for a moment of solitude? Another issue that comes to mind for me is the lack of funding for technology in a district and the fact that there is non-equitable distribution of that funding for technology within the same district. The school districts create their technology budget and distribute it based on classroom size often, and within the district. This leaves schools on the lower socioeconomic sides, which already have to fight with so many things. On top of that, low enrollment, they have to fight for the little technology they receive since they don't have as many students enrolled as a more well-off area in the district. Where I live, that may mean that the classrooms on the east side of town get 5 laptops or iPads per classroom, while on the west side of town they get 10 to 15 per classroom. Oftentimes, the west side schools have PTAs that will then fill in the gaps so that every child has some digital technology. I myself have had to go to Donors Choose to get more laptops and iPads for my classroom so that they can work independently. However, I only have a total of 15, which includes the ones that I can check out from my school. If at any time my principal decides that those laptops need to go to the upper grades, I have then lost that technology in my classroom. It's not mine to keep or mine to use all the time. It's up to my principal on how we distribute that, which is how many other schools are. So this basically means that teachers are left with old, limited, and inadequate tools for teaching digital learning, or they have to come up with the money themselves. So that's another issue that I'm actually pretty passionate about. I am an East Side teacher, and I see the inequities, the inequitable use of budgeting that happens. So another problem that I see at my district level, and I'm almost positive this is everywhere, not only do we not have enough planning time to create these personalized learning experiences, um, we just we don't always have the right applications. So the district I work for um, is great, and they have some great ideas with technology. So they have used a Canvas app, and they've paid Canvas to rename it over there Blend. As you see, connect, design, learn. So our district expects us to have our students log into Blend and to access online lessons through there. However, the teacher kind of sees fit. Ideally, they want the kids to be working and collaborating together. Um, However, I am in a program with my district where we are learning how to have a blended learning classroom. And even though I was a first grade teacher, got leveled down to pre-K 6 weeks into the school year, and now I'm having to learn how to do it at an early childhood level. Um, Thinking as a first grade teacher and an early childhood teacher, I have realized that this format you see over here is not friendly for early childhood through second grade. So to log in, the kids can choose to have a QR code or they have a login name, which is ridiculously confusing, along with the password. Not friendly for young children. So the QR codes are great. However, 4-year-olds in my classroom don't know how to use a laptop, and on the iPads, some of them allow for using a QR code and other ones don't, thanks to not having updated technology. So it can be tricky in a primary grade and early childhood classroom to use this blend. As you also see, the child now has to decide once they've logged in, this is a child's view that you're seeing here, they have to decide what they're going to press on. So I've created these buttons here to subject areas where they could click on it and it takes them to a link where they need to go, and then that link tells them what they need to do, or sometimes that link has to tell them, okay, well, now that you've done this, I want you to log into Seesaw. So now my 4 and 5-year-olds not only have to figure out how to log into this, they've done their project, and now they have to log into Seesaw through this link to tell me about the work or to share their work with each other and talk to each other about their work. Um, and to me, it's a little ridiculous. And I have kind of brought up in my cadre before of, but if these are separate apps that we can use and it's friendlier for the kid to use in that way than in Blend, is that okay? And my response that I've gotten from our district people is, well, we'll figure out a way that your kids can access that through Blend still. It blows my mind. And I'm sure that we're not the only teachers who have to go through that. I believe other school districts will probably have to go through something similar if they have a routine um, program, kind of like my school district wants. They want the kids accessing this blend because they paid for its name, and it's just not developmentally appropriate for all the kids. have to say though that my school district does have a lot of things right. So they are talking about blended learning, and they really do want blended learning in our classroom, even though we struggle with funding at our schools. Um, they are trying better. So here, this is actually from our district website. Our parents can access this and see what is blended learning when a teacher talks about it. And as you see here, they say blended learning is an approach that combines face-to-face classroom instruction with online learning. The face-to-face learning experience is closely aligned to the online learning experiences. Students, at least in part, have some control over the time, pace, path, and place of their learning. And then it discusses the things that are important for part of blend in the blended learning. And then as you see, you can't scroll, but as you scroll down the screen, it discusses, can parents have access to their blend account, which they do. So parents can actually go in, they can see the assignments that students may have, which is great for third grade through high school. And they could see some of the assignments if a teacher makes an assignment at the elementary, early childhood through second grade level, which they tend not to be as much as assignments as they are activities or choices. But parents can go in and see some of the things that their kids are doing. I think that's kind of neat. I do like that they are really trying to prompt us and help us, encourage us, is what I'm looking for, encourage us to do this blended learning. Now, the fallback on that, though, is they don't have very much training for this yet. They have some online training about blend and what it is. You can go to the Canvas website and kind of learn how to create a blend account, but none of it's really user-friendly for the teacher, and it does take time. The district is trying to help that out by creating these leadership pathway programs that teachers have to apply for and get into. So not everybody can be a part of it. But, and for example, I just started this year their leadership pathways in transformative technology. And that is where we're learning how to use blend and blended learning in our classroom. But that's also where I'm finding that some of the stuff is not developmentally appropriate for all the grade levels. And that's also why I'm working on this master's degree, is because I want to help teachers make some of these things, and the district make some of these things developmentally appropriate for the early childhood and elementary age classrooms. So on the side of the district not doing so well with trainings, they are limited. However, campuses do have design coaches. Um, our campus, they all have to share design coaches. So it's not that each campus has a design coach. There are a group of campuses that share one design coach. And you could see in the picture that there are quite a few of them, but there are also a lot of schools in our district. So it is nice to have the design coach because I can call mine up and he's pretty flexible. He'll actually cancel meetings and come meet with me. I've heard he's met with other teachers on my campus as well. And they really try hard to work with teachers, coach them along, help them set goals, what they want to do in their classroom, especially with the digital technology we have, and they help kind of guide them through that. I've used my technology coach to discuss activities or ways that I incorporate the technology with the activities I have in my pre-K classroom. He's not necessarily knowledgeable in all of it, so that can be frustrating for me sometimes, but he does his best, and if he doesn't know, he will go and ask somebody who might know and get back to me. Not a lot of teachers use their technology design coaches, I think, because we feel that it's just one more thing we have to do in our district. They have we have so many different type of initiatives going on right now that a lot of teachers just see this blend as another initiative to add to their plate. And if they don't have to talk to that technology design coach, they don't have to add it to their plate, which is a little unfortunate. But they are pushing into the schools a little more. I think that is definitely great. And opening up these leadership pathways for more teachers to enroll in and learn how to use this technology in our district is also pretty good. So we also talk about a problem in the world of education, and this isn't just school or district or state, it's across our nation. Um, Unfortunately, it all comes down to budgeting. So I decided that I wanted to look up what our budget was like in the state of Texas, and I'm still trying to find it. I find different numbers of what the state of Texas's budget is. Um, However, I do find I did go to TEA, the Texas Education Agency, and found some things. So I'll go over that through these next few slides. So I like this graphic here. When asked to design a new school, which is actually happening a lot in Austin right now, unfortunately and fortunately, they're closing underutilized schools and under-enrolled schools, but then using one of those schools to create a bigger, what they call modernized school. So that's kind of why this actually caught my eye. Teachers identified the fast wireless internet access was critical, along with professional development, time for learning new technologies, um, which we know is true. Without, you have so many people using that internet, you don't want to have slow internet. But I kind of found it interesting. Another thing they didn't touch on was a laptop for every student. Um, I'm torn between using the iPads and laptops in the classroom. I think both are important. Developmentally, iPads are easier to use with early childhood through first and second graders. However, I do think it's an important skill that these students also have access to a laptop. So maybe not a laptop for every student, but definitely an iPad for every early childhood student with the access of laptops in the classroom as well. Um, I do also seem to notice that technology maintenance and support is also important. I'm actually surprised to find that a teacher's, I guess not, a teacher's computer lab, I don't know if that means within the classroom or the school. I think our computer lab at our school is very important to have. Yes, it's nice to have that technology in the classroom, but I think it's also nice to have times where I can go up to the computer lab and work on things with actual desktop computers with the students as well. I also noticed that a handheld device for every teacher. I think that's right. Like, I don't necessarily need an iPad, but I do think it's important, and you see in the light yellow, a new computer for every teacher. We need to have updated equipment, and that doesn't always happen in a timely manner. A lot of our laptops last year and the year before were all starting to break down. We'd call IT, and they would say, "Oh, we know they're close to life, they're out of warranty, and there's nothing we could do about it." And then we didn't have the technology we needed to be successful teachers. Thankfully, this summer they found money in the budget, and every teacher got a new laptop again. Um, but that's a big concern that all teachers have when it comes to technology, is that it's not updated, it's falling apart, it's breaking, software's crashing, and we can't do our jobs as teachers um, if that's happening to our equipment, and if it's happening to the student equipment as well. So I found in TEA a large book that was created in 2006, and it's their long range plan for technology 2006 to 2020, which is next year. I didn't know that this existed until looking into it for this project. So I think it's kind of interesting to see what is expected of learners, of the educators, of our leaders in our schools and district, and the actual infrastructure that the system will provide. Um, I feel like as educators, we are doing our best to have our learners be successful in these bullet points. Um, it definitely looks a lot like it's geared towards the higher levels, like use research-based strategies to find all subject areas to improve academic achievement. We need early childhood and primary grade friendly resources to do that, and we don't quite have those yet. But I do really like to communicate effectively in a variety of formats for diverse audiences. That's something I'm really working on with my pre-Ks this year. As far as the educator part goes, I've been out of college for 14 years. I've, just coming back with this. So I'm not sure how well we are preparing teachers for technology in the classroom. Here it says graduate from an educator preparation program that models current technology in instructional and administrative practices. I know I've had interns come in and they do say, "Oh, I have to have a lesson with technology related to it." But for years that technology was using the overhead, using the projector. Now we're projecting onto a TV screen in our district. Um, and they don't really understand what that means. So I don't think that's successfully being taught for our bachelor degree students. Um, I do think that teachers are starting to work on developing new learning environments that utilize technology as a flexible tool, where learning is collaborative, interactive, and customized. But I think we are in the beginning stages of that. I don't think any school district, well, any state in the United States are masters at that. We may have some schools that are, but I do think that we need to work more on our districts being aligned and our states being aligned with getting that done. So when I look at the all leaders, I think of our superintendent and I think of our principals, with the budgeting of technology for the schools. But I definitely think of our school board and superintendent for a lot of this. One of the issues that arise in my district is that we have a lot of under-enrolled schools on the east side due to kids going to charter schools, moving out of the district because they can't afford to live here anymore. And so there's a big budget crisis going on in the district too. Um, and so the superintendent and the school board is looking at closing under-enrolled schools and underutilized schools, but also taking like one of those schools and creating a quote unquote modernized school. I'm actually on a committee going through the process of that. Um, there were out of our three schools within our surrounding area, my school and then two other schools, they said they would close and then they would all build into the third school. So I had to be part of that committee. We had to pick which school that was. And now I'm part of a different committee that is creating what that new modernized school is going to look like. And so when I look at this list of everything the leaders uh, need to do, I'm actually seeing a lot of that. We're talking about, flexive learning environments, um, maximizing the space, how you change that space, what kind of things we want to put into that school that help with collaboration of students and teachers, and different flexible learning opportunities, as well as being technologically advanced compared to a lot of the other schools that are on the east side. They're trying to bring them up to some of our west side schools. So one of the accomplishments that my school district has done was the having the digital learning coaches and having them help teachers implement the blended learning into their classrooms. I have well, not me, but some teachers and administration. I have another real big accomplishment that works with our digital learning and leadership program. Um, for the past, oh goodness, probably 7 or 8 years, we have run a STEM academy. I've been a part of it for the past 6 summers. and plan on doing it again this summer. So the STEM Academy is a academy that we have in the month of June for our vertical elementary school team. It is a grant-based program, so if we don't get the grant, we unfortunately can't have the program, but luckily that hasn't happened yet. Um, the students are all provided transportation, they are provided free breakfast and free lunch, and we use the concept of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, to create a really fun program with them. Technology has started to come more to the forefront of the program. Um, we have our fifth and sixth graders are doing Lego robotics, and the other grade levels do have some robotics in it. Sometimes it's the Lego We Do kits. Um, Sometimes some of them are coding dot and dash. All the classrooms have access to iPads, and we even have a computer lab where students are learning how to code. Um, the younger grades do code.org, and the upper grades use the Google uh, digital learning application that they have online to code different videos and activities. So I'm really proud to be part of that program, and so are all the other teachers who teach on it. If you actually click on the picture where it says STEM, it'll take you to a link for our Weebly, and you can find out even more about what we do at the STEM Academy. It's pretty great. Check it out. So some accomplishments that I've done for my campus that I'm pretty proud of are, off the top of my head, especially that I can think of. I have been able to fund two Donors Choose projects for my classroom. The first one was getting more technology into my classroom. I asked for 3 Chromebooks and 2 iPads, so that I was able to make sure that every single one of my students had access to some technology, whether it was an iPad or a laptop. The other one was getting a 3D printer and some of the spools for the 3D printer into my classroom, which I am also sharing with early childhood and the primary grade levels to create um, activities and projects that help solve real world problems. Kind of the fun and simple one was they had to come up with a design that would make somebody who was sad feel happy. And then we kind of picked the design that we thought we wanted that would best do that, and we printed that off. Um, Another accomplishment is that through the Ed Fund grants, I was able to uh, get a grant for my campus to help open a STEM lab, which is actually where our current robotics team does a lot of their practice in. And with that grant, um, we were able to get some furniture and green screen, stuff for hydroponics, things to get the kids really interactive with their learning. Um, and because we were also able to get our robotics lab up, we got a grant with Dell. They gave us a computer in our first year in robotics. They gave us, I believe, $500, which helps us buy our equipment and helped us pay for the competition. And then, of course, to code our robots and bring a laptop with us so that we can fix anything at the competition we needed to. I also worked with uh, technology and STEM on my campus. We have a program called Prime Time, and I introduced the Lego Robotics We Do 2.0 for our first and second graders. They had a blast with creating little robots, going through projects uh, on how to solve a problem. So one of the ones that you could, if you click on the We Do 2.0, you'll see a quick little video of the students having fun, but they had to create something that would uh, lift an animal up from an area that was about to flood or had flooded. And then I also had an after school program for our third and fourth and fifth graders of stop motion animation. So on the bottom right, you will see a little picture of that. If you click on that link, it'll take you to my Twitter account, which will show you what that student created. Um, I really like trying to find ways to incorporate technology on our campus. After school is easiest. Because it's fun and I can let the kids explore things that they might not explore in class and find things that interest them.